Next up, good practices in skill development industry. Let me invite the panelists onto this dais. Sri Nagaraja NM, IAS, MD, Karnataka Skill Development Corporation. Bijita Joyce, Tata Strive. Harish Nachnani, National Sales Manager, Festo, Didactic India. E. Rajiv, Executive Director, International Automobile Center of Excellence. Satish Kurup, Advisor, Schneider Electric. Subbaraman Balasubramanian, Senior Vice President, HCL Technologies Limited.
Hello everybody, hello audience. So let me do I know we are running behind schedule, so I'll do a quick round of introductions, starting from my extreme left. We have Rajiv, who's from the International Automotive Center of Excellence. Then we have Satish Schneider. We have Bijita, who's from Tata Strive. Then we have Mr. Subramaniam from HCL. We have Harish Nachnani from Festo. We have Ramesh from Bajaj Auto. And I'm Ranjan, the moderator for today. So just to give a brief context before we actually go into the deliberations and the panel shares its views, if you look at meaningful skill development, industry is one of the key stakeholders, and it has been proven over time that industry-led or industry-aligned skill initiatives are more robust and deliver better outcomes. Our panel today are not only from diverse companies, all reputed, but are from different sectors, and most of them, or I'd say all of them, are looking or have skilling options which are contemporary and are meant for the jobs that are emerging and are going to come up in the future. So the format is very simple. I have a set of 3 questions. It is, and I'll share the questions with the panel and ask them to share with the audience and us their views, experiences, and what would be their suggestions. So the first question that I have is that why is industry-led or industry-aligned skilling initiatives imperative for successful outcomes? So I'd like to request Bijita, being the lady to start off.
Sure.
Thanks,
Thanks,
you, Bijita.
Ranjan. Thanks, Ranjan. So I think I have all my fellow panelists who represent industry, and they would definitely talk about this and agree with me that industry knows the road ahead. So who better than industry would be able to ensure that industry-led model or aligned model, as my colleague mentions, is the way forward. And I'll just speak about 2-3 models that we do at Tata Strive, which is both for employment and for entrepreneurship. One of the models that I would like to talk about is the dual VET model. This is basically a German model which we've brought into India. And we're working with around 5 states, impacted around 1 lakh youth so far. What we do here is we bring industry closer to the ITIs. ITIs stand for Industrial Training Institute, but sadly the reality is that the institute is very far away from the industry. So what we do is we collaborate with not just large industries, but MSMEs, because that's the core. We collaborate with them. We help ITI trainees go to industry, get on-the-job training during their course. Now, what does this do is they get a hands-on experience, and it also becomes a placement pathway for them. And it's a win-win situation for both MSMEs, industries, and the ITIs. This is one thing that we do in the employment space. Another thing that we do in the entrepreneurship space is a program that is called as Skill Mitra, Udyog Mitra. You see, in remote locations or in rural areas, entrepreneurship is something that really is the way forward or the only option available. What we do is we connect young minds with people who are already entrepreneurs, mentor them, help them get into the business space. So that's another thing that we do in the entrepreneurship space, which is again very industry-led, which is focused on skills, building their skills for employment or for entrepreneurship. There are a couple of other models also, but maybe as we go forward, we'll speak ahead. But these are two things that I really wanted to start off with. Thank you. Anyone would like to?
Thank you, Vijita. You started off. So I, in a way, represent auto industry, primarily four-wheeler, because we have panelists from Bajaj also there. So the core challenge that, or the core problem that we are trying to solve here is auto is almost 8%, to be precise, 7.7% of India's GDP. However, the similar representation does not exist in education. So how do you handle that gap? And this predominantly exists not just in ITI, but also in premier institutions in India. Hence, an organization like ours, wherein the government as well as industry leader participated to create an entity which works to create tailor-made, customized, or I started calling them steroid shots, even in the higher education. So these courses cut across the higher education channel, that is maybe IIT, NIITs, BTechs, diploma colleges, and down to ITI, to create further job readiness quotient, improve the job readiness quotient of this candidate so that they can be much more industry relevant than what they are currently. And as an independent entity and being from industry background, most of us being from industry, we have an outside-in perspective. So we know the industry changing, as well as since we are a part of education, we know what are the specific current needs. We dovetail both of them seamlessly so that it can work as an ecosystem and can be replicated and scaled across any part of the country. More from one specific sector. While I'm talking about auto, it covers both auto, the technical aspects of the vehicle, also the manufacturing sciences. Just to mention, since we are on this, auto is one of the sectors that's already globally export ready. So most of the companies are already exporting products. So in an Atmanirbhar kind of a scenario or Viksit Bharat scenario, we need to have sectors that can produce products which are globally already compliant and built upon it. Hence, this kind of intervention is something that we think should be scaled and replicated across. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajiv, for giving the opening statement. You being from the Automotive Center of Excellence, I thought I should logically follow you. So I'm taking over from him. The thing is, I would like to highlight a flagship initiative of Bajaj Auto. I'm from CSR, Bajaj Auto. Before CSR, I worked for 40 years in the auto industry, different Honda, TVS, and Hindustan Motors, and all the auto industries, right from R&D to project management to international assignments. So after my innings, I was asked to join CSR. And that time, CSR in Bajaj Auto used to be, the usual ones, what you see as, orphanage, old age homes, or building a roof over some schools and all. When Rajiv took over, Rajiv being a focused person, he said we should only do CSR where we have strengths. And that being a technical strength of Bajaj Auto, we curated a course known as Bajaj Engineering Skills Training Course, which is deployed in universities across India. We select universities, we go through a stringent process, and then we select the universities in each state. Till now, we have covered 7 states. We intend covering at least another 12 more going forward. In fact, we also intend deploying it in NITs and IITs too. So the course is like this. In phase 1, we have developed a industry-curated curriculum, which is in advanced manufacturing, which is both in robotic automation as well as in IoT and Industry 4.0. So in this, there are three modules there, And we have also brought in about 190 odd equipments, which are industry grade equipments, which we are using in industry. And we are deploying it in the university in their campus in terms of high-end laboratories. So when we started with, for this initiative, we started for tier 2, tier 3 type of students coming to the university because they don't have access to good labs. So after their engineering, they join these labs, they get upskilled and they get employed. So that's the model we followed. But recently, because of the impact it created, almost all of them got jobs incidentally. So because of the impact, we were called by the education minister and he said that why don't you deploy it in all the NITs and IITs also. So that's where we are now. So we are now integrated it into the curriculum of the various colleges itself. Now if you want a degree in mechanical, you have to be skilled also in our equipment. So that's how it is integrated as a part of the curriculum itself now. So in going forward, phase 2 also we have just now we have started, which is in the electronics phase. So more of that later on I will elaborate. Thank you.
Hello, am I audible? Okay, thank you everyone for the input. So specific to industry-led and industry-aligned program, I just want to draw an inference here. Industry-led program is very effective, but it is not scalable. But an industry-aligned program with active participation of the government and necessary policy framework can make substantial change. Today, we are only scratching the surface. India is a hugely populous place. Our demographic dividend today we boast could be a huge disaster if we don't adequately skill ourselves. I just want to quote Mr. Narayan Murthy that he said demographic dividend is meaningless without a skill dividend, adequate skill dividend. So if you look at employable youth in this country, could be somewhere in the range of 60-65 crore. And an industry-led program can never touch even the surface of that. So it needs much more deeper thought. While within an organization like Schneider, we are doing it very much for many, many years. And we are providing this solution with the French Ministry of Education certification and of course aligned with the NSDC. But I realize that nothing substantially going to do in the society if you want this massive civilization to be moved into the next level of their upliftment. So that's where I just want to put one word.
Can I add on? When you began, you talked about contemporary to the times, and then you went on to ask if it will be industry aligned or industry led. Let me go back in time a little bit. 2000 years ago, I don't think we had universities and colleges in the whole of India going back to do degrees and certifications, right? It was primarily skill-based. So to come back to your question, is it industry-led or aligned? A few decades ago, from 2000 years, let's come down to a few decades ago, it was primarily colleges being set up, and 40 years ago, 50 years ago, the tech revolution started happening, IITs, NITs were getting set up and so on. And companies were insisting on what kind of skilling is required, and that skilling was certified. So it was still becoming industry-led. The alignment came when the policies sort of caught up with what the industry required. And now we in our organization have gone back to experimenting. Okay, let's continue this. Let's also explore another model where we go back to the grassroots in schools. because it's about skilling people, and skilling does not necessarily need to begin only in college. We are exploring, in the last about 8 years, we've been having a model called Tech B, where we get bright 12th standard students skilled for our entry-level jobs, and that's working well. So the question is, the industry leads in creating these models. So that's the point that I have.
Very pertinent. You know, skills does start at schools. Harish?
Yeah. So all panelists aligned to whether industry-led or industry-aligned program. I will just go back a little bit and fundamentally say why really industry is required. You know, I mean, we have been talking always industry is required. It is because the time that we have today. You know, there is a social transformation happening. There is a technological transformation happening. There is a business transformation happening. When I say business transformation happening, it's like manufacturing changing a lot size one in production. You know? It's like a new business model could be where a tire company may not sell a tire, but may sell only amount of usage that you make, you pay. You know? So a new business model. There's a social transformation happening. The Gen Z, you know, not investing into, say, equipment, or not investing into their homes, or not investing into vehicles. That's a change happening, you know. So those all things are changing. And also technological changes, you know, the new technology are coming. We are talking of AI, we are talking of IIoT, everything. You know. These all makes a change in the environment of how education is changing, you know. We talked about schools, we talked about industries. In general, we are talking of lifelong learning. You know, that's important. We are talking about personalized learning. You know, we are talking of learning being available anywhere. You know, on mobile, on tablet, on computer. Learning which is blended. You know, it is, when you say blended, it is with hardware and software on one side. It is also earn while you learn. So these are the new trends coming in. Yeah. And with these all new trends coming in, its industry with its experience has to do something. You know? And that is where I feel it's more and more a responsibility coming from industry that they are able to support the education part.
Thank you. I thought I asked a straightforward question, but with all the answers from the panelists, I realized how nuanced a simple thing like industry aligned or industry, and the perspectives, at least to me, was a revelation. So thank you, and now we'll take up the next question. When you have a country like India and you're talking about skill development, preparing youth for the workforce, it has to be in scale. Otherwise, we would just not be doing justice. So when you look at skilling at scale, it's imperative that the three key stakeholders, which is government, industry, and academia, work in alignment or work in tandem. Because unless to draw a parallel, unless the planets align, it'll be very difficult to get what we want to, where we want to. So again, I'd like the panel to share their views, one. Also, while I've spoken of the three stakeholders, a critical stakeholder who's often, which is often overlooked, is the youth itself. Because ultimately, all that is being done is for youth. So youth aspirations, etc., also needs to be taken into account. So I'd just like each of the panelists to share their views, experiences, and I hope there will be some insights which are new to me as well. Whoever would like to take it.
I'll take it up. Okay, thank you. That's a privilege of being a lady, actually. Thanks. Okay, so I think before I answer that, Ranjan, I'd like to talk about why Tata Strive and what is our genesis, because it directly addresses your question as well. So Tata Strive is a decade-old organization. We are a not-for-profit organization, and we came together to address the national challenge that we had, which was skilling and unemployment. So we wanted to skill the youth and address the employability issue. But we also understand that this is not a problem in thousands. It's a massive scale problem. And anything that the Tata Group does has to be with scale and quality. And as Ranjan rightly mentioned, if at all you want scale to happen, government collaboration is a must. Because when you collaborate with governments, you're really able to address not a district, not a village, but an entire state. So what is it that we have done, or what is it that we have learned in the process? The policies that we have, the systems that we have, fantastic. As a country, we really have them designed well, it's written well, it's also circulated across also. The challenge comes is when it comes to execution. How do I implement this policy and how do I make it a reality? That is where the biggest challenge is. The second challenge is that every 100 kilometers you go, there are cultural nuances, there are differences, there are variances, and what works in one place may not work in the other place. How do you bring that local flavor while you're implementing these policies? I think the government does a wonderful job of bringing think tanks together and create policies. I think they need support when it comes to implementing those policies. And what we have seen in our experience so far, implementing different models, be it the dual wet model. I mean, right now also as I'm talking, I have 3 partners who support Tata Strive in doing all that we want. We have HCL, we have Schneider, and we have Bajaj. All 3 of them are partners among the list of 50, 60 partners that we have who support us in implementing different models. So what we have seen is that, and all these models, to address the scale, what we do is we collaborate with the state governments, we collaborate with industries, we try and see how do I implement that model. We create toolkits, we build capacity of the people in the government and we give them back. So typically we have a 3 to 5 year engagement with governments where we implement certain models so that these policies come live, especially when it comes to employability, entrepreneurship, and even for community enterprise, women enterprises, etc. We build toolkits, we build processes, we build systems, we establish them, we run it like a well-machined oil, and then we give it back to the government, and we play a supporting role. So our mantra has been very clear, that we don't want to enter into a state and be there throughout. We just want to come there, solve your problem, establish the system processes, give it back to you, and then you take it on and we support you. We would like to solve other problems for the state. So that's the model that has really, I think that's how it can be scalable, and that's how it can be sustainable also. Thank you.
So I guess we are following the same order. Not necessarily, I was just joking. So I'll start with a saying in Hindi. उसमें बोलते हैं ना जिसका काम उसको साजे. So it's which gets translated to a person who is meant for what does it best. So a policy framework is what government does best. And we all would agree to the fact that NEP imbibes a lot of inclusivity which was not there earlier. If you look at it on a holistic way, it also talks about a lot of lifelong education and all that Harish ji was saying the other time. So what we are doing little differently is we have a structure, we are an SPV ourselves, wherein government invested as a partner. So they came on board while it was very convenient for any state governments to say, please set up. But instead, government said that I'll come, I'll be a stakeholder. I'm there with you. Now let us look at industry. Now how Maruti Suzuki in our entity is exactly like, so industry has to be like a parent teaching a child bicycling. So let's say you want to teach your kid cycling or swimming, what do? You just hold them. You want them to learn swimming or bicycling, you hold them whenever he is falling. Not that you support them perpetually. Because what is the end objective? End objective is that your child should be able to cycle. Or your kid should be able to swim. Cycling is low stake. Look at swimming. In case your kid is not able to swim, what would happen? So when you are swimming, you are always around. When you are cycling, you are nearby. You are near, you would go. So what I meant was, everybody has their circle of influence and has a place to play. But the system and processes, all the balances have to be such that a person or industry should be able to get out of it, let academician take over. In fact, all the developed countries do exactly the same. There is a seamless integration between industry and academia. And we have piloted this model at our place. We are an independent entity. We don't look at funding from multiple entities. We have done everything ourselves. We have delivered it. Now is that when we are wanting to scale it up, when we are talking about scaling it up, we say that something that we have perfected, let it go to every entity. So the new model of ITI upgrades and all, we would like to partner. We give the same customized module. For example, we have customized module. In auto also, there are sectors which are underrepresented even in automotive sector, like insurance, tires and all. So these are the sectors that we handled for professionals. But when we started doing this training, we understood that maybe why don't we bring it into education? Why can't this be 7-semester subject? And every automobile that we sell, whether it is two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, all of us have sell insurance along with it. Now it's become mandatory for 2 years to be sold. But nobody thought of insurance. Nobody thought of what surveyors. Now surveyors, for example, I'm just taking an example of insurance just to make my point clear. Surveyors perform a fiduciary role of representing a customer. Would you not want him to be perfect in his job? Because he represents a very large all of us. But there has to be a policy ecosystem for that. There has to be a training ecosystem that can give them that customized solution. But once we have done that, we want to push it down to academicians so that it can be taken up during the college time. So that a person, when he joins the company, has those skills upfront. So there have been cases wherein a surveyor has asked me, there was such big an engine, now there is such small a motor, but it costs me more. Whether it is plastic, whether it is aluminium, whether it is metal is not known. So these are the kind of changes that are happening. The point I am then making, when you want it to be scalable, we can even look at subsets of very large industries, like insurance is an example. There are tires, there are multiple modes. OE has a different requirement. In Maruti Suzuki, some of the training that we do for professional, same EV training has a different theme for safety guys. Same for quality assurance is very different. Supply chain professional wants entirely different purpose. Since we come from an industry background, what we have tried to do is we have tried to make a meaning out of that which can directly add value to the business. Once it has added value to the business, it can be customized to very small 1 week capsule, converted into credit format so that it can run anywhere, any point of time. And NCVT, we are NCVT, part of NCVT dual body. Once this credit, or let's say it's a biscuit in a casing of biscuit, it can be eaten by anybody. Anybody who's interested, in a way imbibing it. So hence, a classical scalable model. Now it's purely up to academia industry to adopt it. Coming to industry, one more gap that we could find, or it has to be much more inclusive. So when NEP became inclusive, we are talking about 8, 9, 10 people with experience coming back to education. Maybe BTech getting broken down to 4 years, 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. So as industry, we have to start adopting a certain level of children or people, different age kind of people coming into similar kind of job roles. So openness has to happen all the places. While we let go of some of the academic ecosystem, but we hold those people there in the industry, not at the academia. Ownership of holding or hand-holding still lies with the industry. Because you are going to, ultimately education has to lead to job or a socially productive work. So one of the significant socially productive work would be employment.
Interesting what Rajiv was talking about, how industry should take the lead. And this is one of the things we also felt. For that, I would like to little bit go back when we started, installing a new plant for Bajaj Auto, which is in Chakan. We opened a new plant, which is for the Triumph motorcycle, and also the Husqvarna motorcycle. When we opened that plant, naturally, when you go from one plant to another plant, there is a generational technology jump takes place. So in this plant, we decided we'll have fully automated plant, manless assembly and manless machining and all that. So it's easy to set a target. But what happened was when we wanted to, program the robots to you have certain controls of, do a PLC programming or do some automation between machines. We didn't have the people. Companies like us, which is maybe 4 decades old, so is the case with Tata or Mahindra or whatever Indian companies which are legacy companies, so to say. We have highly skilled people, but in conventional skills. But the need of the hour was the 21st century skills. So that's where we felt there's a big gap. And personally, me and my colleague, Mr. Sudhakar, we would have gone to more than, I can say about 100 colleges and universities across the country. And let me assure you, the mechanical engineering, what I studied, the filing, what I was doing, it's the same thing that is being taught today also, the same machine, same file, same square block. And you can easily make out what is the mechanical engineering department in any college, any university. You can just tell them, this is the mechanical engineering, because that will be an old shed and a fellow will be filing on the block. So this is not what you find in industry today at all. So this is the gap. So the main issue was, like Rajiv was telling, industry also has to play a role. University was not coming to the industry, so we decided to go to the university. And we curated a curriculum and we deployed it at the university. So when we did that, there is a good response for that from the academia also. First of all, we had to start with the professors. We had to sort of skill them first towards industrial robots, industrial systems, industrial softwares. So there was a lot of training of trainers we had to do. It's almost a 3 to 4 months training we had to give them before we could deploy it in the university. So having said that, when we started with good private universities, the top private universities of each state where we deployed this. But it was a pretty slow process in the sense, you have to contact the owner, the vice chancellor, and you go and give a presentation to them. And then we start, of course, they'll be interested in, because this is a state-of-the-art thing and nowhere else it is there. So they were interested. But then the whole process takes about 3 to 4 months before we could deploy. But then we saw that if we have to scale up, what is the way to do? Like Vijita was telling, unless the government pitches in, it's very difficult to scale up. So that's the time we went to Delhi to give a presentation to the education minister. So we gave a presentation about our course to them, and simply over a phone call, he is told to the education secretary, just deploy it in all NITs. So in one meeting, all the 56 NITs of the country came on one single platform where we presented it to all 56 NITs. And it was just by one phone call by the government. So government and academia and industry, if they combine together, this is the scale and speed at which we can do. So at the same time, right now itself, as a pilot itself, I am doing with 5 government colleges, which is, I wouldn't have thought it possible earlier. The scale of the implementation is much faster now. This is one. The second example, a small example I want to give is in Karnataka state, where we had implemented it in PS University in Bangalore. So in one of the graduation ceremony, they had called the skills minister there. So he had come to give the students sort of a certificate and other things. But before that, he went around our labs. Once he saw that, he was so thrilled. He said, no, I want to call all my officials here. So all the IAS officers and secretaries of the state he called there and said, you have to see that, and I want you, after you see, you should call me again. We'll have a meeting, how we should implement it across Karnataka. So that's the scale at which a government can implement, if only the right focus and the right type of, examples they see. So I feel to anything to scale up, a triangle of, industry, academia, and the government will play a huge part.
Good, Nick, please.
Yeah. So, coming back to your question, right? To scale, what should we do? In my view, if you look at, there are basically two actors, right? One is the prospective employee and the employer. These two are given. Beyond these two, there are a few others that are required. Now, in between these two, there's a skilling proposition that's coming in with a sort of assurance of a job soon after skilling. That's going to make it very impactful. But to do the skilling, there has to be a few elements. There have to be a few elements that need to be thought about and presented back to the world. One is on assurance, because this program that you're talking about, skill people, whatever it is, should lead somebody into a productive end. Second is, when this assurance comes, assurance is coming from a quality of the program itself. Assurance is coming from the employer. And third, assurance in a soft form from a credibility standpoint. For these to take place, you need the likes of the government that already many of our panelists talked about to step in. The government should step in and say, yes, this is a program, whoever is running it, that will end of the day produce a job, is sort of assured to provide a job. Now, this is to be done at multiple levels. One is at the central level, like the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Higher Education, or the NSDCs of India equivalent, who need to come in and say, yes, this is good enough, we have validated, this is conforming to the QP norms. If you take a QP-NOS, whatever, there are multiple of those, this qualifies some of those, and can possibly be given a few credits should somebody pursue further education beyond the point of job. So you need multiple actors from established bodies of the government at the central level to have it penetrate into the masses, because scale comes when you have the local bodies making sure that the program reaches out. So you need partnerships with the local bodies, the state governments and lower below, the likes of KDISC here, the likes of Karnataka Skill Development Council, the PSDMs, OSDAs and so on. They need to be part of this, whichever it is. And when they come in, for all these things, end of the day it consumes resource. And resource is limited, it's finite, and it costs. Somebody has got to pay for it. So it means we got to bring in those who can fund these programs. Now, funding these programs need to be done by probably partly the government, partly the prospective employer, and the UNICEFs of the world, the World Banks of the world, the ADBs of the world need to come in, because this is when scale can come. Without them, scale cannot come. If it's to be done in an isolated manner somewhere, scale wouldn't come. So in my view, to summarize the question of what is required to do scale, there's the prospective employee, there's the employer who assures, there are a whole bunch of credibility organizations in between at the central level as well as the state level, and the resource-ness part of it needs to be funded, for which you need funding organizations, banks, NBFCs, and we've done pretty much all of these in the Tech B program.
It's very well that you explained it.
Thank you very much for nicely articulating the scale part. That's exactly my first question was alignment and, cutting across. That said, I think the point which we are discussing, we are talking about triad of government, industry, and academia. The academia, I think when you said about academia, is more of academia management, including faculty. Somewhere I feel that student, the real stakeholder actually, the potential employee or somebody who wants to get job, that focus is getting blurred out. I think the student has to come in the center. And I would have wished to see the hall full of students, such a program which an industry interaction event happening here, and I would have wished that one. But somewhere, that's okay. I'm sure that they get the message. So today, we are discussing about employment, giving training, but again, we are giving to a certain set of people, but it has to go deep down and broad. So what is happening today in the world? The mega trends, what are the mega trends happening? The urbanization, the industrialization, the digitalization is a whole new animal out there, which the current system, the legacy system, don't understand. Somebody who does understand bit, mostly the people involved in the industry. If you look at the history of that industrialization transforming, the first stage of industrialization took about 80, 90 years, to mature. The second phase took again 70 to 80 years. But the third generation industrialization took only 50 years or less to cross over to the next level. And believe me, we are just in the beginning of the we are actually discussing Industry 4.0, okay? And it just started about 10, 15 years back. And at this point of time, it is happening so fast, before we realizing it's actually past. And believe me, this will not have the luxury of a 40 or 50 years. Maybe the Industry 5.0 would start as early as 2030. And today we are talking about the component of the cyber-physical systems, industrial IoTs, cloud systems, all those things will further transform into the robotics to cobots and human-machine interaction. All those things would come so fast. And those who survive are who are willing to adapt. If you adapt or perish, that's going to be. So the seriousness at which I'm very happy the government has taken such pain to bring in multiple panels of discussions and trying to bring in industry. And, I'm seeing a lot of academia missing there, but actually it has to work collaboratively. We are the probably only one engineering company today, I can proudly say, that we have seen for industrialization. We were born in the first generation industrialization era. We were born in, that stage. And we survived all this one, and we still leading the Industry 4.0 by helping organizations. So I'm not going to speak much about what we do, but what I'm trying to do is that overall, the countries generally and in Kerala specifically, how we are going to find our niche, how we're going to move away from the crowd, how you're going to find our sweet spot. We can't replace maybe other states, other countries. We are not a factory, place, but we should find our space, our niche. So I think probably we will be leading to that, discussion later.
Okay, so we all spoke about industry, academia, government, who all wants to pitch in, how much, a diverse country like us, we cannot say who has to do more, each one of us has to do more. But again, as my last part, I will go to a fundamental question below that. Why this are we talking about? Why are we talking about government, academia, industry in terms of skilling? Because what I see and what as Festo we see, one of the fundamental, not a problem, but a fundamental state that is in our country is we have always kept education and skilling as separate. We have kept education and training as separate. The day we merge that together, that's where everything will go into a circle, in a right circle, I would say. Institute will be forced to have something what industry wants as a training requirement. Government is there. Of course, it does its parts of in terms of investing and other part of it. Industry as a part of benefiting from that training programs would go in supporting the institutes together. Yeah. So the day we make education and skilling together is what I feel would go a way to solve the problem.
Could not agree more.
As an organization that is actually into implementing all of these scale, etc., working with governments, I think the governments are quite open. So if you have a brilliant idea and if you have a brilliant way of implementing it, they're more than happy to really put that into action. And as an example, I can tell you, we've been working with, as I said, about 5 to 6 state governments, but we, to enable on-the-job training for trainees with the industry, we told the government that, industries are willing to take the trainees from your state, but there has to be an accident insurance and at least a safety shoe given to the trainee. If that's not given, then we will not be able to facilitate this process. It took at least a couple of years at the start, but right now, all the trainees, around 1.5 lakh trainees, they have issued insurance and they have also given safety shoes for the trainees to enable this on-the-job training for the trainees. So I think the governments are very open to ideas, but as I said, the government needs people, toolkit, support to implement it. And the moment that happens, so case in point, like what Harish was talking about, education and skill. NEP, the whole idea of NEP is to bring education and skill together. But the challenge is that no one knows how to do it. Implementation is a problem. The policy is fantastic. So if partners can come together and support governments, that this is how we can help you and this is how implementation can happen, I think it will take time, but it will happen.
Great. So I have this young lady who's saying that I need to wrap up. I'd just like to end by saying, and you have to give me some more time, is like every time skills, empowering youth, it's like peeling an onion. If you take off one layer, you realize there's an inner layer, and it goes on and on and on. So it's a problem. It's nuanced. What gives me, after today's session, is relief and comfort. There are people like the panelists who are working on ground to address issues, multifaceted, whether it's placement, training, what works here will not work 100 kilometers, yet we need to scale. So the people, good people who are working in it. Second, like Ramesh said, nothing succeeds like success. You demonstrate success, there will be takers to it. I'd now like to go off script, right? And 30 seconds for all of you. Vijita being the lady, I'll tell you first, okay? So, nothing dramatic. There are n number of suggestions, n number of, advice that can be given. But if I were to ask each and every one of you, and here I'd like you to go back to first principles. At times it is possible. And nothing, at times it is first principles. If they are addressed, the solution comes out even better. So what in your mind is one, and I'm giving you complete freedom, aspect that the state or Kerala needs to look at to address this entire value chain in a meaningful manner? And it can be anything that, like for example, elaborating, like Hari said, the wall between education and skills need to go. So one basic suggestion, advice, experience that you would like to share. Vijita, I want you're first. Others have a little bit of time to think.
Thanks, Ranjan. I think based on our experience of implementing skilling programs across the country, what we have seen is that, as Subramaniam also mentioned, the hero is always the learner, the youth. And there are many actors in this space. And therefore, there are many schemes, many policies, many organizations, government, non-government, trying to help this, address this problem. But there is a gap. Convergence is a big issue. And what we have seen is, one of the programs that has worked for the state of Odisha. And I think that's a very good model that the state of Kerala can definitely replicate. We run a program called as Chief Minister's Skill Development Fellowship Program. The whole idea is to build leaders in the skill development space. So we have around 30 fellows, young fellows, working across 30 districts. And the whole work that they're trying to do is bring in convergence, be it short-term, be it long-term, be it industry, be it government schemes, be it different ministries. The work that they do is bringing them together. And at the end of 2 years, what you get are also leaders for the country who can work in the skill development space. I think in Kerala also you have many initiatives like CASE, ASAP, Startup, and you have your portal, etc. But probably a convergence of all of these together will definitely be helpful. Probably a fellowship program like this across all the districts will surely be, a good idea to explore. At least we are seeing good results in the state of Odisha. So that's my take on that.
So my one-word takeaway is convergence. Rajiv.
So I'm saying this because I had done some working for Kerala. So when we started the first course at Gandhinagar, we got a lot of students from Kerala. So that was a surprise. That was the starting point. So my single suggestion is very specific to auto. Many of you would know from auto industry that this is one of the most dense population density. Not just population density, also service center density. It's one of the largest markets for many of the OEMs in terms of the total area available. So if you create a ratio of area and the volume that you sell here, you actually sell much more than many other parts of the world or parts of India. Further, to add on to it, we have extremely good numeracy literacy already present in the state. Now we have experimented with a model that brings in international quotient into automotive education. Hence, we find that Kerala is one of the few outliers in the entire, maybe Tamil Nadu would be next best, to actually attempt it. So we are talking about a product that is standard globally, or global products being in India, or Indian companies exporting to the same part of the world, bring in education specifically to auto is a very, very, very potential piece for Kerala, and is a solution purely for Kerala. And there will be many partners we already started talking to, and any of the people on the panelists also are open to. This is something that we can attempt in Kerala. It is a low-hanging one.
So if I were to summarize, Satish, half a line, maybe I'm simplifying it too much.
Okay.
Let's say the conditions for Kerala is excellent for the automotive sector.
Okay. See, Kerala has some great advantages. It is fully literate, highly educated. Literate and educated, there is a difference. And so naturally there is no industry here, no factory here, no chemical, kind of thing. So these students would definitely go outside of Kerala, other part of the states, and outside the country. So naturally, when we see from there, there are a lot of, Kerala, engineers and, technicians, you can see everywhere. But when you do that training program here, you need to look at two things. Of course, that's a huge opportunity for exporting trained talent, for exploring opportunities outside Kerala. within the country or outside the country, which bring in a lot of, expertise as well as the remittance. But for Kerala, at this point of time, even though Kerala lost that, the huge industrialization space, there are a lot of new avenues in the emerging industrial space. You don't need acres of lands today. You can have vertical space for setting up a modern precision electronics or engineering business. We have a lot of opportunity you could explore, and then probably, tweak your skills around that one, around the Industry 4.0, then it makes a lot of sense. Then second thing, which, maybe a bucket of ideas which you can pick it up. The other area where Kerala is in abundance is the marine, resources, about 600 kilometers of, coastal area. There are a lot of areas you can look at in terms of, wind or wave energy, wind energy, all those kind of things. A lot of things can be doing, fisheries processing and export. And today, Industry 4.0 solutions help a lot in terms of making it effective to get in the global markets, because quality and efficiency is important. And then Kerala is also equally good in terms of your herbals. You can look at a nutraceutical business, pharmaceutical business So a lot of areas, but all of these areas, we have a solution based on the Industry 4.0 solution. Connected, collaborative, integrated, And then, of course, the last one, I would say that beyond which there are a lot of scope for bringing in Industry 4.0 solution into public administration and social welfare. That also could be looked at. Thank you.
Thank you, Satish.
Keeping time in mind and your question in my heart. So let me try and answer it. The view of people being successful is very isolated in my view. My suggestion to this is bring stakeholders together, like the ASAPs, Young Innovator Program, KDISC, everything together. At the same time, when getting these skills done in people, get a vertical unit to be delivered from the state. If not, people will get skilled here, they will go elsewhere for a job. So make sure that there is a minimalistic vertical unit at least that can be capably delivered from the state for the people post-skilling to be retained in Kerala. That will be my view.
Being from the industry, we talk on very specific things for specific people. So for me, I have three things which I would like Kerala to do from my company point of view. One is, we have three initiatives of skilling. One is the best initiative, which I told you, for engineering students, for which our next initiative will be to come to Kerala, where we would like to work with the NITs and your Trivandrum engineering colleges or college like that, where we are willing to set up our state-of-the-art laboratories and also integrate the curriculum for your students. So this is one initiative for graduate engineering students. A second initiative of our skilling is for ITI students, where we are partnering with Tata Stripe, and we are deploying it in all ITIs across India. So Kerala could be the next state where we can scale up through Tata Stripe and come here, where we need your government support here predominantly to link us with your ITIs. A third initiative is the Service Training Excellence Program. We call it as a STEP program, where we are training 10th pass and above students to on service training of two-wheelers and three-wheelers. Here again, we are willing to put up service centers in your place, providing you identify as POC, single point of contact, where we can work and scale it up. Thank you.
Thank you. Harish.
Yeah. To keep it short, I would put it suggestions under two brackets. One, I would put it under a bracket of mobilization. That's a perennial problem everywhere, which we talk about. And I feel with a very highly a good school education system available. The STEM part should be included here. And we feel students, once they're out of school, they're already with a thought process, what they want to do, not do, that way. So with STEM education inclusion in school, which is also part of the NEP policy, that will actually drive the right career path for the student. The second is also, again, what we talk about is about aspirations and the benchmarking. Kerala as a state, we see, which gives a workforce not to India, but to the world. Then it is very important that we need to create a training program which is globally benchmarked. Yeah? And how we can address that as Fester Didactic, we have been doing it for more than 30 years worldwide, is linking it to world skills competition. Yeah? So linking it to world skills competition, you are on a way creating the aspirational level which we all talk about of how we want to bring it. We address that. The second part is we make it a globally benchmarked learning, training, assessment process to make the learner capable to work anywhere in the world. That would be my suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you, Harish. I'd like to thank each one of you. I don't know about the audience, but I have learned a lot. And some of what has come out is, thank you so much once again. This is not the end. I'll reach out to each one of you individually to sort of that suggestion. Could you just put it on a sheet of paper? You'll do it much. I'll just collate it and send it to KDISC. Thank you once again for coming from different parts of the country, your time, and for all that you shared with us. Thank you, audience. Sorry, I know I'm pressed for time. I'm getting dirty looks. Sorry. But question, yes, please. I wouldn't do justice if I don't open up the floor for questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for excellent panel from experience, ground experience people having you are discussing the good practices in the skill development. And last, there was reference only the word skills. The question is to Ranchan Chowdhury, the Word Skills International. But this is the one way we are identifying that learner-centric. The skill development scale should be learner-centric. It means all the areas of skill development has been addressed or discussed in this wonderful panel. Why the Kerala, I think the participation in the India skills or world skills are very low, I think. How can we propagate this idea? The aspiration level of the candidates or as a mass students community is available in Kerala. Why can't why can't such a advice not come from you to the Kerala? My question.
Sir, to answer, I didn't expect the question to come to me first. But since you put a googly out there, let me tell you something which all of you may not know. Kerala was one of the first states in the country. Your then minister, Baby John, if I remember his name correctly, had gone to Brazil in 2015, and he came back, and within 6 months, the first skill competitions was held in Trivandrum. So and number two, to your point, World Skills is not, and Harish probably, is not just a competition. Competition is just a platform, the spectacle. But the deeper meaning is to promote skills, aspirations, global benchmarking, everything that each of them have said is key to success is all a part of World Skills. But thank you. It's close to my heart. I'll put my suggestion and I'll send it across. Thank you so much once again. Sorry, yes, please.
Hi, I'm Sindhu. I'm in the corporate training and development industry. I have a question for Mr. Subbaraman. You mentioned about the program called TechB that HCL runs, and you very beautifully summarized the various stakeholders involved. My question for you is, when you do such a training program on a large scale and with so many stakeholders involved, how do you ensure that your training doesn't go obsolete because you finish training, the technology changes? So how do you ensure that it doesn't become obsolete, and how do you address this challenge?
Yeah. Thank you. Very pertinent question, I should say. Like Ranjan talked about when he opened the session, the technology skills have to be contemporary. So identifying what is contemporary to that point in time is critical. Second is those that are delivering these need to be ready as well. So they need to be abreast of the technological changes that are taking place in the industry and the market. So making sure that they're ready, which means they have to be practitioners from the bygone era, right? Only then they'll be able to make the transition possible. Now this calls for a third dimension, which is seamless execution. The art of identifying what is about to change, art of identifying what is just past, the art of identifying what is just about to come, and making sure that there's a continuous churn of the expertise in the ecosystem, broadly governed from above, is critical to a success of something like this, because there are multiple actors in this exercise. So it's a pretty complex stuff, but the art of making sure that these actors come together, having the ability to see what's just about to go, what's just about to come, and who can continuously deliver seamlessly is critical. Yeah. Somebody else wants to help me.
That was an excellent question, a brilliant question. That's in the ever-changing time, how do you define your curriculum and how to make it relevant? I'm very happy you asked that one. The one way of looking at it is that make it modular and flexible, you know. So when you make it modular and flexible, your ability to shut off or add is much more easy. The second thing is like make it digitalize, you know, virtualize. So that again, you don't need to break the physical thing. You make it virtualize so that alteration and addition is very easy. Third thing which I would put it, then use artificial intelligence and the current, as he suggests, the ecosystem to gather what is going to happen well in advance before it strike. So be prepared for that one. So these three things should address that one. It's an excellent question. Very happy about that.